Alright, so let's just get straight into it because this right here is one of those stories that refuses to stay quiet, and honestly, people are not even complaining anymore because every time Maurice, Sam and Pearl Watts show up, it's like the internet just pauses for a second and says, wait, what is really going on here? And that's exactly why the topic, the bond that feels so real, Maurice, Sam and Pearl Watts shine again, is not just talk, it's a whole situation that keeps unfolding right in front of everyone, and the more you watch it the harder it becomes to ignore, because this is not just random vibes anymore, this is something that feels intentional, something that feels natural, something that feels real, and people can sense that kind of thing from a mile away, and that's why every little interaction between them turns into a full-blown conversation online, because fans are not blind, they are watching every move, every smile, every glance, and trying to piece together what exactly is happening between these two, and why it feels different from everything else we've seen in a long time. And the crazy part is it's not even about them saying anything directly, it's the way they act around each other that's doing all the talking, because sometimes silence speaks louder than words, and when it comes to these two, that silence is loud, and people are picking up on it fast, because you don't just fake that level of comfort, you don't just randomly click like that without something deeper going on behind the scenes, and that's where the curiosity keeps building, because every time they appear together it's like they are not trying too hard, they are not forcing anything, they are just being, and somehow that just being is what's making fans go crazy, because in a world where everything feels scripted and controlled, this kind of natural chemistry stands out immediately, and you start to see comments everywhere, people saying, this is different, this feels genuine, this is not acting anymore, and honestly it's hard to argue with that, because when you look at how they interact there's a certain ease, there's a certain calmness that you don't see when things are staged, and that's exactly why the bond they share keeps shining again and again. Because it doesn't fade, it doesn't look forced, it just keeps evolving in a way that pulls people in deeper every single time, and you start to notice little details, the kind of details that only show up when two people are truly comfortable with each other, like the way Maurice Sam looks at Pearl Watts during certain moments, not even saying anything, just looking and somehow saying everything at once, and then Pearl's reactions, those soft smiles, those subtle expressions that feel like they are coming from a real place, not something planned for the camera. And that's where fans lose it completely, because those are the moments you can't fake, those are the moments that make people believe there's something more happening beyond what we are seeing publicly. And then you add the fact that they keep showing up in each other's space again and again, and it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like choice, because nobody is forcing them to be around each other, this much nobody is writing a script for how often they should interact, so when it keeps happening naturally people start connecting the dots and asking the big question, is this just friendship, or is there something deeper that they are not ready to say out loud yet? And that question right there is what keeps the conversation alive, because every new appearance, every new video, every new moment just adds fuel to the fire, and instead of slowing down it keeps getting stronger, because the more they show up the more convincing it becomes that this bond is not ordinary, and you can even see how their energy matches in ways that feel effortless, like they understand each other's rhythm without needing to explain it. And that kind of connection is rare, especially in a space where people are constantly under pressure to perform or impress. But with these two, it doesn't feel like performance, it feels like connection, and that's why people are rooting for them so hard. Because when something feels real, people naturally want to protect it, they want to see it grow, they want to see it succeed. And that's exactly what's happening here, because fans are not just watching anymore, they are invested emotionally. They are analyzing every detail, they are celebrating every moment, and even defending them when necessary, because they believe in what they are seeing, and that belief is not coming from nowhere. It's coming from consistency, because this is not a one-time thing, this is something that keeps happening repeatedly, and every time it happens it reinforces the idea that what Maurice, Sam and Pearl Watts share is something special, something that goes beyond surface-level interactions, and you can even tell that they are aware of the attention, but instead of pulling back completely, they continue to be themselves, which somehow makes everything even more interesting, because it shows confidence, it shows that they are not trying to hide completely, but also not rushing to define anything publicly, and that balance is what keeps people hooked, because it leaves room for speculation without feeling manipulative, and that's a very fine line to walk, but somehow they are doing it perfectly, and that's why the bond keeps shining again, because it's not being overexposed, it's not being forced into a label, it's just being allowed to exist naturally. And people are watching it unfold in real time, which makes it even more exciting because you feel like you are part of the journey, you feel like you are witnessing something as it develops, and not just hearing about it after the fact. And that's a powerful thing, especially in today's social media world where everything moves so fast, but this right here has managed to slow people down just enough to pay attention and actually care about what's happening, and that's not something you see every day, because attention spans are short, but somehow Maurice, Sam, and Pearl Watts have found a way to hold that attention consistently without doing too much, and that's why this bond feels so real, because it's not built on noise, it's built on moments, and those moments keep adding up to something bigger, something that people can't ignore no matter how hard they try, and even those who started off skeptical are slowly changing their minds, because when something keeps showing up this consistently, it becomes harder to dismiss it as coincidence or strategy. And that's exactly what's happening here. The narrative is shifting from doubt to belief, from speculation to quiet acceptance that maybe, just maybe, there is something genuine happening between these two, and they are choosing to let it grow at their own pace without external pressure, and that decision alone makes the whole thing even more admirable, because in a world where people rush to define relationships for public validation, they are taking a different approach. They are letting the connection speak for itself, and honestly, it's working, because people are more intrigued than ever, and the bond keeps shining brighter every single time they appear together. And it's not just about romance either, because even if you strip away all the assumptions, what remains is still a strong, undeniable connection between two people who clearly enjoy each other's presence, and that in itself is worth paying attention to, because genuine human connection is something people crave to see, especially in the public eye. And when they find it, they hold on to it tightly. And that's exactly what's happening here. Fans are holding on to every moment, every interaction, every hint, because it gives them something to believe in, something that feels authentic in a space that often feels anything but, and that's why this story is not going anywhere anytime soon. Why?